Right, this is a quick video. Having sold my beloved GT, I wanted something lighter, and it was my intent to go and buy a new bike. To be honest, I thought, oh, to hell with it, only living once and all the rest of it. And yeah, I was all set to go and buy a brand new bike. And as so often happens, things catch my eye. It's probably the same for many people. And the advert for this caught my eye. It was a private sale, and the advert was suitably, not say vague. And I said to my wife, I might give that a ring. To which she offered no real opinion other than a sort of like, oh, do what you like. And the advert pretty much said, Triumph Tiger 800. I don't know much about them, but I knew there were different models, but not actually this era. So anyway, Tiger 800, ABS, one lady owned in the last 10 years, oil change every 3,000 miles, good condition, bang, and that was it. So this is going to sound really lame, but I said, well, if it's in the middle of a rough house area from some, it's going to be very much, what do I think of the people that own it? Anyway, long story short, I ring it up. It's in a cottage not far from where I was born, but blimey, it was tucked away, basically a farm cottage. And nice people, right sort of people. You could see that they could afford to do whatever needed to be done. The guy was a bit of an enthusiast, a bit of an engineering sort of type. So they got the sort of green light as I spoke to them, really. And I won't say the bike was secondary, but yeah, sort of. Let's have a look. It's a 31,000 mile bike, so obviously it's not perfect. And come winter, I will probably drop. Well, no, probably about it. Take the tank off, go through it. I've changed the oil, checked the brakes, fitted. I've altered the couple of things on it. It came with a lot of extras, well, a lot of extras, but all the extras that were on it, with the exception of the brake levers, which from the billet ones, from the Triumph billet ones from the GT fit these. They're pretty standard lever, so I've put my levers on it because the original ones were looking a bit tired. It comes with obviously these crash bars, a top box, bar risers, we'll come to that in a minute, hand guards, blah de blah de blah. It's got heated grips, and a pyramid, I assume it was a pyramid, some hugger thing, which I think is quite ugly, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Basically everything that was on there was how it came to them. It's got the beak as well, which is an addition. Rode it home, rode fine. Cockpit felt a bit cramped, and I felt like I was being pushed one way or another, can't remember. Turns out that a little bit of research, I find it's got bar risers on it, but not just bar risers. I don't know what these are, I think an American one. But the bar risers were back, because obviously a lady owned it. The bar risers were right back, which I've now tilted them forward. And the gear stick pedal was right up in the air, so I've had to adjust that down. Yeah, bar risers, jury's out on these. I'm not sure I like them, but it's just a lot of faff. And because I'm quite tall, and it's predominantly a road bike, I might prefer the bars down in the original position. But we'll try it and see. The other thing that fitted was off of my old GT was the tank ring, so I can put the Givi bag on there. It gets a bit tight on there. I think it just touches on the full lock on that thing, but livable is livable. So there you are. It's say I'll over the winter I'll do air filter plugs. It's running on stale fuel at the moment, so it's a bit fluffy, but see how it runs after it's had a bit of fresh fuel run through it. Plugs, air filter, and I'll probably do the tappet and maybe clean the stepper motor out. I might embark on the whole throttle body balancing thing. It depends on how far we have to dig into the. I don't like pissing about on my computer. It's not. I don't mind the program. It's the bikes. There are various programs you can get. You can also reset the spanner with something. We'll try that. It's on reasonable tyres. I've got about 30 or 40% left on them. I guess standard can, always had a standard can on it, which is good as far as I'm concerned. Little things that niggle me, the number plate's got a couple of cracks in it, and a pop rivet to hold it on, pop rivet on that, which does upset my OCD a bit. Stripy bits on the wheels, which I wouldn't really, but oh yeah, it's got a bash plate on it as well, and rubber foot bits and whatever they are. In terms of weight, it's listed at 214. I guess with all the sort of crap that's been bolted on it, but all the additions that have been bolted on it, probably going to go 220-ish. Rolling it backwards and forwards is very much lighter than the Triumph, which fully dressed went about 270 kilograms with all the bags on. So yes, it's much lighter. It's top heavy, which is one of the things I really didn't want, but as I say, you get bedazzled by things, and the condition of it was just so original. If it's dropped, there's been a scratch, it's still there. Everything is an original bike. The lady that owned it, predominantly touring, did big touring trips. So I'm looking forward to riding it, and it's the sort of bike you can ride through the winter and throw a bit of crap at and not actually lose too much sleep over. I'll probably get some ACF 50, I think it's called, and splodge it about. There's no sat nav on there yet, no cameras or anything on there yet. I'll just get it up together and ride it. You can put one helmet in the box, which is fine. It's only me. I have got, it's come into my acquisition, a roll bag, or a pair of roll bags, actually a massive one there. A roll bags if I want to go away, which we are going away next year. So yes, all in all, I'm quite impressed. So far so good. Took the front pads out, gave them a clean, checked it. I've not dropped fluids on that, so I've just done an oil change. Checked they've got the front pads. Checked a few things are tight, just go around it with a Allen key. And I say, put my levers straight on. These fancy Triumph levers, they're atrociously expensive. I do know why I bought them. I bought them because it was a deal, really cheap. But I think they list at a huge amount of money now. But anyway, not sort of thing I would buy, but in actual fact they are the original ones, but certainly had a lot of flop in them, whereas these are just beautifully tight and right. Put them in, put a bit of grease, the stuff you do. I'm waiting for, I did find, and you'll see here there's a couple of wires off here, the eagle-eyed. I checked, went to do a sort of check round, and went round to do all the checks, and the rear brake light, when you touch the rear brake, came on, but then went off again. And I was like, well, this is weird. 3 or 4 attempts, and it was erratic, and the micro switch, which is that, which is only a cheap thing, is weirdly buggered, because the moment it clicks, it comes on, and then as you go through the stroke, it goes off again. Anyway, about 11 quid, they're no money. You could almost buy 2 and carry one in there as a spare. It's been run on 2040 Castrol, 2040 Castrol with a semi-synthetic, which isn't a problem really. So I'm continuing to run it on that. Changed at 3,000 miles. The only reason that full synthetic is any better than semi-synthetic is for the degradation. So if you're going to run it for 6,000 mile services on a 31,000 mile bike, fully synthetic would be my option. But at 3,000 mile intervals, which I don't do the mileage, so you want to change it more often because of age and what have you, condensation, whatever you care to call it, whatever the sort of modern hoo-ha is on oils. So I'm going to stick it at 3000 and continue in that vein. Stick a filter in every time because, yeah, why not? And I don't see an issue with that. The issues with the engine don't appear to be any major issues with it. A bit convoluted, but for the money, if I looked at a new bike, the everything I looked at for 7.5, 8 grand was sort of didn't float my boat. You had to start getting to sort of 12 grand before I started to get interested in anything. Didn't particularly want massive power, but I did want enough power. And so consequently, as I said, if I'd have bought, let's say I'd have gone and bought a £7,500 for a Honda Hornet, let's take one of many. If you go and buy yourself a Honda Hornet or an NC750X, whatever it's called, 7.5 grand, yeah, lovely. You're then tied into a warranty, which means you're tied into servicing, unless you're going to completely dump the warranty. You've probably got a grand's worth of servicing before you're out of warranty, because it's now a 6-year warranty on thing. I think it is. Same with the Triumph. To buy the little 660 Tiger Sport was damn near a 9 grand bike. No luggage, no extras, So at least this way I've got some to play with. You know, I can stick brand new tyres on it. I'll run these tyres through the season, probably into the winter, but for next season I'll stick new tyres on it, and it should be able to sort of go with it. I had got all enthusiastic about getting an old CB1000 from a friend of mine, but he somewhat wisely maybe decided not to sell it, because that was a damn good steed. It would have done a lot of things. Not the most exciting ride. As I say, from what I've noted of this, it's somewhere between the GT 1050 and the 660. It's quite a buzzy, nippy engine with some grunt, so it should be enough. I must confess I haven't really ridden it hard yet. I've just sort of done 40 miles, picking it up and going across to my friend's place and then back home. So that's all it's been ridden, and it seemed pleasant. Jury's out on the riding position. On that saddle, I've altered the adjustment on it. Left the back low and lifted the front up. Should remedy the slight discomfort I felt, and also because the bars were right back, it felt somewhat cramped. Not somewhat, it just felt, I thought, this is weird, I've ridden one of these before and this doesn't feel the same animal. But of course, with the raised bars, and they are raised a good 2.5 inches I guess, and the fact that they were cranked back, I was sort of, my elbows were sort of pushed back against me, so I've moved them forward, leveled them up as much as I can. Not happy with these because torquing them up is just, well, how? You know, you're obstructed. And I believe the method is to waz these bars right forward, torque those up, then yank them back or knock them back with a block of wood, and because obviously most people have them inclined back, and then torque the fronts up. Well, call me a fucking pessimist, but that's a half-assed idea in engineering terms. I have torqued these with a convoluted method, which is an Allen key with a wobbly, well, not wobbly head, that head that goes in slightly there, which I thought I might snap actually. Managed to devise a thing so I'd had into a joint which was onto a torque wrench, and they're both torqued to 29. Now it should be 26.35, but you just can't get any more on it. Yeah, any more and you're going to snap something. So yeah, I'll try it for a bit. Let's say the jury's out. Very nice, 100 quid's worth of bling, but to be honest, the bars going through there might suit me better. And where I put the sat nav on and all that sort of shit is that's to be decided. So at the moment we're still in a honeymoon period. As I say, the bag fits on there, albeit tight. It touches, literally just touches. Don't want to angle the bars forward anymore. It just starts to get silly because you can swivel the bars on this top joint. but then the controls start to go a bit silly. So that's it. There'll be obviously some content when we're faffing around trying to do things with it. At the moment, I've done, as I say, is changed the oil, blown the tyres up, gone round checking things with the spanner. Oh, it's got these bobbins on it. I hate this blingy stuff. Bad enough the levers have got the little red things on them, but I've got a paddock stand somewhere. My cousin's got it. If I can get the adapter dubris for that, I will probably just get some black ones because I don't like that. I say it's tempting to go spending stupid money, but trying to hold back on it. No centre stand, as you can see. So yeah, I'll say it's a downer, but keeps the weight down. 214 kilograms, they say, with all the crap on it. 220, 225 maybe. It rolls backwards and forwards, but it's top heavy. You've only got to look at it to see it's top heavy. Fortunately, whilst I can, it's not an issue, but I'm sure one day it'll tip over and I'll say bollocks to you. Get a scooter. Right, that's it for now. And surely there will be many a swearing session when we're doing things on it, but we'll live and learn. That's it for now. See you next time.